That's why it's important to educate my family on how to develop those habits and those traits of knowing how to obtain wealth, how to acquire that skill set to teach it. Because you just can't create a single blueprint for all of these years because things happen. Things are going to change. So that's why you got to teach family. You got to teach your children. Then they're going to teach their children those habits and those skill sets. Then once they get older and once things change in the society, they will adapt to it and they will figure out how generational wealth will work in those cases.
Yeah.
The mind is like a flexible mirror. You got to adjust it if you want to see a better world. The greatest freedom is to be free of our own mind. What's good, y'all? MGE family, welcome back to another episode of the Monetary Gainempire podcast. We have a special guest today, Dylan. How you feeling today, man?
Feeling pretty good. This is a long time in the making.
Yeah, for sure. This is my co-worker. We work in landscaping, and we always have conversations at work. So
whenever we can get away with it.
Yeah, for sure. So it's most definitely a pleasure to just have him outside of work and just having a conversation, because usually when we talk, we always talk until we have to go back to work. So, it's most definitely a pleasure having you on the episode, man. Man, this man right here, if you want to introduce yourself, what you got going on, and what you do.
Well, thanks, Malcolm. My name is Dylan Ryder. Like you just said, we are coworkers. In fact, today was actually my last day.
Yeah.
I'm going to be moving to Massachusetts in just a few days from now to start a new job. But over the past 4 months, I've gotten to know this guy pretty well. And again, we've had some really decent conversations. This is the first time that we're going to actually be able to have decent conversations without having to worry about getting yelled at by our bosses.
Yeah.
But I am not even I really don't know a lot about the landscaping field. I have just kind of started in with it. Again, about 4 months ago. I'm actually a zoology major. That's what I went to school for. And I've worked a number of different jobs. The most exciting one was I worked with grizzly bears one time in Montana, and I thought that was really cool.
That's interesting.
But after several years, it's been hard finding a job that pays the bills, and so that's how I ended up working with you, because this job actually was good enough where I could get paid to basically pay my bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how it is, especially in this economy. It's kind of hard to find something that's willing to pay the bills and your expenses and things that you want.
Right.
So I'd say this job most definitely helps with that for sure. So most definitely. Last conversation we had talked about, I think we had talked about work ethic. So what does work ethic mean to you?
So work ethic means to me, and we just got done talking about how we'd always have conversations at work. So I want to make it clear to everyone at home that that I think our work ethic is actually pretty good compared to a lot of people that we've seen come through our business or come through our field. There's been plenty of people that have shown up on the first day and leave within a week or two. But what work ethic means to me is that it's your ability to show up in the morning every day and do the jobs that you were told. It's as simple as that when it comes to working for someone. I think a positive work ethic can lead to a bigger future, a brighter future for yourself and for your coworkers around you, as it allows you to basically be a positive role model in some people's lives, or it allows other workers to look up to you and try to match your work energy. I mean, there's a lot of times where, you're working really hard and someone right next to you is just goofing off. So, in my opinion, when I try to work hard, and if I see someone working next to me who's working extra hard, I try to match that energy.
Exactly, yeah.
But a lot of people can't say the same. I think good work ethic is just really being able to show up on time for work. That is such a big thing.
For sure. I think you said one key fact, like energy. Like, I feel like energy, and I had talked to our boss about this one time. He's big on energy as well. He said he has to have good positive energy, because if he don't, everybody else is going to be lacking if, not doing their job. So it's like, him as a boss, you got to make sure he come in there every day with 110% energy and make sure he's having a nice work ethic every day. So I feel like even when you don't feel like it, it's important you always still get the work done, because that is molding you into an amazing human being. So doing everything you don't want to do sometimes be hard, but it's important that you put yourself in the most uncomfortable positions until it's comfortable for you. So I feel like it's important to try to get yourself into at least, like, I don't know how many uncomfortable positions a day, but always put yourself in an uncomfortable position, man, because it's going to create self-discipline. It's going to make you to a better person. And it's going to make the people that's around you a better person as well.
Keeps you on your toes. It allows you to not, for lack of a better term, fall asleep on your job. Being in uncomfortable positions, again, allows you to grow as a human, to understand your limitations for your work. If there are some jobs where you feel extremely uncomfortable, maybe that is not the type of job for you. And you may learn that right when the job begins, or you may learn that 20 years down the line, and that's why some people change jobs. But I definitely agree that when it comes to work, there is a benefit for keeping yourself on your toes, no matter how mundane that job gets. We were talking one time about the type of jobs we do. I personally like to call them drone jobs. Drone jobs are basically like the ones where you can turn your brain off when you do it. And you do it, it's that easy. You turn your brain off, you've done it so many times, and 1 minute you're getting ready, you're getting all the equipment, and the next minute you're done. And a lot of people like those types of jobs, a lot of people don't. A lot of people like to think about what they're doing, and they like to solve, puzzles or solve any sort of problem using their brain. While other people just like to show up to work, do the work, go home, rinse and repeat. And me personally, I like both. How about you?
Yeah, I like both as well. I feel like sometimes, like, especially when I go to work every morning, it's like I have to go to work in like a positive mindset. Like, I have to like make sure my mental is ready before I enter the day, because I feel like if I don't meditate or like do some push-ups or something before I go to work, I feel like I'm gonna have a bad day, because I feel like I'm off my routine. So especially because I also have things planned on later in the day, so it's basically getting everything planned off, like everything knocked off and everything's planned for the day, so I could be in a more comfortable position as I go. So
being in the right mood before you go to work is such a vital part about work itself. I mean, you just talked all about it, and with our boss, I can totally see him saying that. Because if you show up to work uninspired, not ready to work, you show up kind of late, all of a sudden that's going to reflect pretty much your whole day, and it could even reflect your entire career at the location that you work at. Obviously, also, your reputation, how your other coworkers and your peers view you and your superiors view you. It's important to know that we're humans. It's okay it's okay to slack here and there. Not everyone is perfect. Not everyone can be a complete robot and wake up at 4:30, 5 in the morning, eat breakfast, go to work, do all of that. Some people have lives. Sometimes things happen. It's okay to mess up here and there. But that's why it's important to know when you mess up, and then to talk to maybe your supervisor and let them know, hey, this was my problem, and won't do it again. Or if something does happen and I know in advance, I will definitely let you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's when it comes to like when you talk about coming in on time and everything, I feel like reputation it tells you who you are as a person, man, for real, and it shows what you stand by, and your family too. So it's like it means a lot. It goes so deep, because me growing up, I ain't gonna lie, it took me a minute to find my little thing of like finding a job, because I would leave jobs back to back, so it took me a minute to actually find out what I wanted, because I was lost. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't really have no father figure or no male figure that could teach me the right from wrong. I had to learn myself. So after I actually tried so many things, I got to know a lot about myself. I did a lot of soul searching, and this job made me realize that I love outside. Like, I love being outside.
Of course.
And this is with nature itself, like, and this can, and like, I feel like I have more freedom in a way, because like when I'm inside a building, I feel weird. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
Maybe like claustrophobic.
Yeah, claustrophobic. Like, I don't like do well in warehouses or anything, or factories. But like seeing nature when I work is probably like having a job like that, man, is pretty incredible, for real.
You can just, whenever you're doing that kind of work, you can just breathe in, breathe out, and you're breathing the air that's outside, not the air that's inside. And I think that does wonders for a lot of people and their mental health. Even like with mundane jobs, my opinion, even the mundane jobs outside are still not that bad, as long as you're outside and as long as you're in a decent environment, which I think we are. Yeah.
So, like, a key thing too about being outside, because a lot of people lack vitamin D as well. So it's like being outside 24/7, it gives us a lot of vitamin D and within our body. So I feel like that's most definitely a pro, for sure.
Of course.
When it comes to having work ethic, man, what it means for me, man, is just like make sure you're on time and basically doing things you don't feel like doing, because it's going to make you a better person, for sure.
Definitely. And just another thing to bring up, that if we have good superiors, good bosses at work, if you show them that you put in a good work ethic, they're probably going to tell your future bosses, because a lot of times bosses love asking for references. And I want to make sure that my references tell my future employers that I am a very, very good worker. Because if they don't, the next thing you know, you're losing all these opportunities that you could have had if you just simply worked a little bit harder on your previous job.
Yeah, for sure. So, another topic that we were talking about, what does success mean to you? What does it mean to you?
The way I view success, it's simplistic, yet sometimes hard to understand for some individuals, maybe even for a lot of individuals. I won't even say some. When I think of success, if I had an hour to live, and I thought about my entire past, would I be happy with the life I've lived? That is what I consider success. Okay. For me personally, if I did have to pass away, God forbid, within the hour, I think I have lived a successful life because of my past experiences, the relationships I've had with my friends and family and other people, and simply just what I've been able to accomplish in my life. I've been able to travel throughout the United States. I've been able to do some pretty gnarly jobs here and there. I've met some really cool people. I've had really great relationships, especially with the one I'm with now. And to me, it's those kinds of things that determine success in my life. A lot of people also, some people like to determine success by what they have, what they own, which is that's not bad. Some people like to objectify their success with cars, money, jewelry, good fashion brands and things like that. And again, I mean, as long as you're not hurting anyone, that is a perfect thing that you can do. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it costs a lot of money. Yeah, it puts you in a risky situation if somehow you lose, your job or things like that. But I think success can be defined a number of ways. However, with mine specifically, it has to do with, again, the relationships I have, the experiences that I've done, and the places I've been.
I like that. That's very powerful. Especially when it comes to cars, and like a lot of people judge their success based off what they own and what they have. Like when it comes to cars and homes, things of that nature, it isn't going to go with them when they pass away. So I heard a quote by Nipsey Hussle. He says, "If you wasn't born with it, you could die without it." And I feel like that is so powerful to me because you didn't come into this world with a necklace or no watches or anything, or no car. Mm-hmm. You have to work for those type of things, and you have to figure out when you get those things, how is it going to benefit me later on in the future? So I feel like that's something you have to ask yourself as an individual. So for me, success is like owning my time. Like I feel like all my life, I feel like somebody had control of my time and what I do, and having control of my time means so much to me because I don't know. I just like having that power, that authority of what I could do, and not only for myself. I want my family to own their time as well. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm trying to educate myself so much, and educate my brothers. We all educating with each other, and as we grow and as we get older, and it's like, what's the words I lost my words. It's just so powerful when you just educate yourself 24/7 and you figure out what you want in life, bro. And it's like nobody can tell you anything. Once you find your purpose and your passion and what you're aiming towards, bro, nobody can tell you different, bro. Like you just go on with life at this point. Like you don't have to worry about anybody saying, "Hey, you can't do any of this, you can't do that." Oh, you ain't gonna get fazed by it because you know what you're worth. You know your values. So. Yeah, when it comes to success to me, man, it's all about owning my time and having control of my time, having control of my destiny. Yeah. For sure.
Control of your destiny, I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think having strong ambition within yourself can allow you to do miraculous things. One example I can give was when I was in high school. This is going back a few years. I really didn't know what I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. This was probably sophomore, junior year of high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go to college. I didn't know if I wanted to just go right into the workforce, but I didn't even know what kind of job I'd want. Yeah. And then I saw a YouTube video that really caught my interest. I love watching nature documentaries. I always knew that from the beginning. And during high school, the only thing that I really glommed onto was photography. And I can thank pretty much my dad for that. My dad was a photographer. He's an artist. And he was a photographer for a university. So I was able to get a lot of my knowledge and experience of photography from him and other photographers that I've learned along the way and I've met along the way. But I saw this YouTube video of a guy who had a rescued a bear basically. And this guy basically had a relationship with an animal that you nor me nor pretty much anyone else wouldn't be able to normally have. This guy would be right up next to the bear. He would be, feeding it. He would be petting it. He would basically be treating like it's, I don't want to say pet. I really don't want to say pet because a bear is not a pet. And that's what a lot of people that's what some people don't really understand. Even when you are looking at people online who have these relationships with animals, they don't see them as their pet. They see them as a bear. They see them as a tiger in other cases. But for some reason, not really for some reason, that person and that bear have a unique relationship with one another that no other person would have with that bear. In the case of this guy, he'd rescued it when it was just a cub. So he basically raised this cub since it was a baby, and now that it's an adult, it sees the guy as basically his mother. So that's why the bear doesn't really hurt him. Okay. And I saw this video, and at the end of the video, it had a name of a sanctuary called Montana Grizzly Encounter. Mm-hmm. Shout out. Which also the logo or the acronym for Montana Grizzly Encounter, MGE.
Okay. Okay.
And I saw that, and I'm like, I want to work there someday.
Yeah.
And that was when I was in junior in high school. All of a sudden, I started watching more nature documentaries. I started having more fun reading about animals and things like that. And next thing I know, I am looking for colleges that have zoology programs. Mm-hmm. Zoology is basically the study of animals and the wildlife that's around us. And next thing I know, I'm on a plane going out to school 2,000 miles away. I'm from New York, by the way. And when I moved to Utah, I knew no one. I absolutely had no idea what I was doing. I was just going out to college for the first time, just graduated high school. I was basically becoming a new person. I was starting completely fresh. Mm-hmm. And after a couple semesters, very difficult semesters, might I add, I got in contact with the same sanctuary that I found years prior, and I got a job interview with them. And I nailed that job interview. That's great, man. And then in a few months from that time, into the summer, I actually started working there. And I think that put into perspective how powerful ambition can be. Mm. Because you just see one thing, one video or one book or anything when you're younger, next thing you know, that can change your life drastically. Because I cannot have pictured my life not going out there. I could have been, at home still, going to a community college and basically have stayed in the same area my whole life, but I didn't. Luckily, I have parents that were able to at least afford basically my undergrad. Thankfully, I'm very, very grateful for my parents who were able to afford that, who saved money since they were young. But again, just being able to recognize that ambition and use that to basically further push your success, I think it's very valuable, and I think that is what is really amazing about people who can utilize passion for things.
Bro, that's very powerful. Yeah. I love that story. That is very nice, bro. So do you feel like that journey, they changed like your life entirely? Like
Yes. Yeah. If it wasn't for moving out there, I would have not met my girlfriend of 5 years. If it wasn't for going out there, I wouldn't have met a lot of my friends that I know from out there. If it wasn't for going out there, there's many experiences that I've had in the past 7 years that I know I would have never been able to have just being back home where I was. And that goes for people who live anywhere. You can live out there already, and you may want to choose to come to a state, any state really. It's just being able to leave your kind of nesting ground and finding a path that's somewhere else. I think that a lot of times for people who seem stuck and don't feel like they are going anywhere, I think being able to move is very beneficial. Mm-hmm. I will say though that I'm talking very, very easily about this stuff. I know for a lot of people, moving is not easy. It costs a lot of money. And again, I grew up with middle-class parents who, again, saved money since they first got married for my college degree. Luckily, I am very thankful I have no debt right now. Shout out to my parents. Mom and Dad, love you. But it's just so important to know that a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So that's why it's important for this is kind of where it kind of gets into some politics here. I think, government assistance is very good because for people who live in situations where they don't have opportunities for all these things, it really helps it would be very beneficial for a lot of people if they do get some sort of support where they can push themselves to do things that they love.
Yeah,
No.
for sure. I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, when you talked about like environment, like moving and everything, I feel like when you stuck and you're trying to expand your mind to new opportunities, not mind, but yourself to new opportunities, it's important to get a change of environment. You know, especially if you've been in a certain place for so long. It's like, dang, like you're so used. You're gonna end up thinking like, dang, I don't think there's no more than this. So that's why it's important to even go out the city somewhere, go out the state, go out the country. I mean, it just shows you that there's so many new things, like not new things. There's so many other things out there in this world that is so visible to us, like that, and we don't even know it. You just gotta find what's best for you. And I lost train of thought. I messed up.
It's okay.
You have to find like, okay, do I fit in this environment? Do I see myself getting better? You know, because it's all about growth at the end of the day. You want to get better, and if you're in an environment that's not changing, and it's not changing who you are as an individual, yes, you're going to have to get out eventually, because you're not going to change. You're going to stay the same all your life. So you got to get out the environment. You got to get out the whatever you at and find what fits best for you.
I think it was, don't quote me here, I think it was Albert Einstein. Have you ever heard of the classic quote, do you know what the definition of insanity is?
I heard of it, but I don't know the quote.
So the definition of insanity, according to, I think, Albert Einstein, I'm not entirely sure if he was the one that quoted this, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, or being in the same location over and over and over again. Basically just living in complete redundancy and expecting things to change. If you keep doing the same exact thing all the time, if you're living in the same exact area all the time and you keep expecting things to turn out differently for you, eventually it's just going to be insanity.
Yeah.
You're going to be stuck in a loop until you eventually either realize that you're in that loop, or you'll go your entire life and die on your deathbed, not being able to do what could have truly allowed you to flourish.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like another terminology is like what they call like the rat race, and it's like just being stuck in that cycle and not finding a way out, and just like that daily grind, like you waking up in the morning, going to work, and not actually perfecting your craft and not getting better as a human being, and you just lose yourself, especially if you're doing the same thing. You're not even you lose who you are, you know, and it's unhealthy for your body and it's unhealthy for your mental. So yeah, it's just like you're and you probably heard this quote, idle mind is a devil workshop, you know.
I don't think I've heard that quote.
So it's like that is very powerful, because it's just like if your mind is just stuck in the same place over time, you're not you're not going to get better. And I'm big on getting better. You probably just heard me say that like multiple times.
Definitely.
Like, if you're not reading and you're not talking or communicating, and you're not building connections with anybody, you're staying the same. And I'm big on that. I'm a big advocate for that. And yeah, that quote, I don't mind, it's a devil workshop. It's like that is really big on me. My grandmother told me that multiple times, because I would be at home, I'll be playing the video games, not working, not doing anything with myself. And my grandma, she knew I had the potential to be something great. I just didn't see it in myself yet. So what I said before, I had to go out and put myself in uncomfortable positions, trying to find jobs, trying to figure out what I like. Then once I able to figure out what I like, I was like, okay, this fits me. Now I'm going to create a plan. What do I want to do with myself? I'm going to use this job to get where I need to be in life, help fund my business, do what I need to do. Then that's when I get a change of environment with my peoples, you know, and that's what I've been doing.
And that's controlling your destiny.
Yeah. And like time. So, and planning that out, not only for myself and with the people, oh my goodness, like with the people that I have in my group that believes in my vision, bro, is like so powerful to me, because you don't get that a lot.
You want to surround yourself with people who will uplift you.
Yeah, you don't get that a lot. So it's like, have a powerful group that believes in your vision and that's willing to go to the next step for you. Man, it's like, it's just unbelievable. And I was just talking to my cousin before. No, I just told you I was just talking to my cousin when I got here, and we was just talking about brotherhood, like how, because he was big on brotherhood because he had a group, and he wanted to do the same thing that I'm doing now, and he see it that I'm doing it myself, and he just happy for me. And I just told him, I said, bro, you are literally the spark of why this is happening right now, because I learned from all your mistakes, I learned from all your experiences, and now I'm just doing it. And it's just like everything is coming together. It's like everything is mashing together. Like he, even because he was just a guest on the podcast, that was the guest, that was my cousin. So he is now wanting to start a podcast with one of his friends. So it's just like what we are building as a group is so powerful. Yeah, it was my idea at the end of the day, but it wouldn't be possible without them, you know. And my brothers, my friends know, like, I tell them all the time, man, this wouldn't be possible without none of y'all, you know. So, and they know I love them, man. And they's like, man, you the boss, man. You the CEO.
Of course.
I'm like, bro, like, because I'm a very humble person. Like, I don't like saying, I'm okay. But, like, I know where I stand. Like, yeah, I built this, but it's all of ours. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even remember the last, I don't know where anybody started a podcast anywhere, you know what I mean? Like in this city, like this. Within
your group, my group. Within your community.
Community, city, whatever it is, like, especially in talking at a high level like this.
Yeah.
You know, typically a person we talking about sports, woman, things of that nature that's not at a high frequency. We are talking about things that's going to help us grow as individuals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
There is such truth to being able to surround yourself with the type of friends and family that will uplift you and support you no matter what, even when the going gets tough.
Yeah.
Having people that will be strong structural supports in your life is so valuable.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, then all of a sudden you feel like you won't be able to succeed you just basically will kind of lose track of yourself because no one around you is kind of giving you any uplifting support, basically. Luckily, I have plenty of friends, too, and plenty of family that were okay with the idea of me moving 2,000 miles away.
Yeah.
And there, you know, I could have my parents could have easily said, no, we're not going to allow you to go. We want you to stay close to home.
Yeah.
They could have easily said that, but no, they said, do your thing. You know, we will support you.
Let you spread your wings. I'm gonna let you spread.
And it kind of goes back to that allows you to help you control your own destiny, and by controlling your own destiny, that allows you to help build or help support your other friends and family for controlling theirs. And I kind of want to go back to your other goal in life is to own your own time. And there's I've kind of thought about this because you've said it before in previous podcast episodes. I think it's important to understand what kind of goals you have and go even deeper than what you think they are. Because let's unpack this goal that you have, that being able to control your own time. I'm going to say it, that's actually a very easy goal. If you say that flat out, and I'm assuming that's what you're doing, I want to be able to control my own time, I want to be able to do what I want to do without anyone telling me no. Is that kind of the same line?
Kinda. I mean, okay, so what's your perspective on owning time? What's yours?
So, there's two ways that this can go. Both of them allow you to own your own time. If we're talking about a goal that just allows you to control your own time and be your own person, I can tell you how to do it right now. It's quit your job, sell all your things, go live off the grid, or be homeless. All those people who are living on the streets, it's hard to acknowledge it, but they're achieving a goal that you possibly have. They are all on their own time. They can control what they do. Obviously, they don't have probably a lot of funds to do a lot of things, but they can own their own time. So that kind of alludes to the fact that maybe you need to dive deeper into what kind of what your goal is and where this goal stands with your future. Obviously, I know what kind of goal you have. Being able to own your own time, you want to be able to find work, find a fulfilling lifestyle that allows you to support yourself, support your family, uplift your family, while allowing you to do basically all the fun stuff that you want to do. And that's awesome. Yeah. And the main key aspect about that is being able to find the funds. At the end of the day, we live in America.
Right. Land of opportunity.
The land of opportunity, which for a lot of people, there's not a lot of opportunity. Yeah. So that's why I think it's owning your own time is really wonderful. There's a lot of people that would love to own their own time. It's just being able to parse through it and finding the right direction from that. Do you want to find your own time one way, or you want to find your own time another way? One way is very easy, while the other way will take you a very long time. Kind of harping back to your instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Obviously, if you quit your job and live off the grid and everything like that, if you have the survival instincts to do so, that could be gratification, but for other people, maybe they find gratification out of being homeless. I don't know. Luckily, I have not been that, but who knows? You never know. But yeah, that's what I see on owning your own time.
You gave an amazing perspective on, like, when it comes to owning my time. You could literally quit your job and do whatever you want.
You can you could become a hermit in the woods.
Yeah, you could do whatever you want. Like, but yeah, like you said, my perspective on my time is completely different. And let's talk about financial freedom for a second. Yeah. So, a lot of people feel like it's so-called easy to be financial free because all you can do is quit your job and just live under a rock and just be one of the people on the side of the street, give me some coins or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then you're free from debt, then you're free from expenses, then you're free from all those utilities. Then it's like, you got the financial free. The other one is like, you actually working, you trying to figure out life, you trying to figure out your expenses, trying to find a second stream of income, passive income, cash flow, all those things of that nature. Then it's like having to go in place to where, okay, I got all these figured out, I got my plan, so now I need to figure out how can I leave this job to actually work at my business. How can I do that? So those are the two ways. Is like, it's really easy to become financially free. It is very easy to become financially free. In that perspective. But then like the other, like the part that I'm getting at, that I have for myself, is very difficult in a way, because it's not taught in our society, especially in our family. And for me, it's also about breaking that generational curse as well. And my family, they don't know anything. I wouldn't say know anything about generational wealth. They just haven't seen generational wealth. Yeah. So that's why it's so big on me, and trying to do whatever I can to make that possible for them, to show them that it is possible, that you can do this. It just takes a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices to get to that level. Yeah. And I talk to my mom and my grandma all the time, and she one time when I first started my podcast, she was like, "You starting a podcast? You can't make no money from that." And I'm like, "Ma, it's not even all about the money. Okay, it's all about what I actually enjoy doing. I do enjoy doing this. Of course. And yes, you can make money from it. But is this something that she doesn't understand because she wasn't told and she didn't do her research? So that's what I told her. I said, okay, Mom, I'm going to show you. And especially when it comes to real estate. I'm about to get my real estate license. Like, somebody had once told me, oh, he ain't going to do that shit. And that motivated him. Say, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. If I don't even get my license, and I am going to get my license, I'm going to make sure I still get it in the real estate. Definitely. And because I believe in myself and I believe in the vision that I done put down. So nobody can tell me any different. But when it comes to owning time, that's my perspective. That's your perspective. Yeah. Kind of a difficult question right here. What is your opinion? And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm the host. What is your opinion on generational wealth? My opinion of generational wealth. Because before I'm sorry I'm cutting you off here. I feel like there's two ways to look at it. That generational wealth from families that have,
have lived here for generations upon generations and have acquired wealth through questionable means, and now allowing, you know, all of that money that they've had for decades upon decades upon decades, now being able to just keep on flowing through their family without having their family maybe even having to work hard in some cases, versus, you know, maybe someone like you, who your family again has not seen generational wealth, but I guess what would be your opinion when you start your generational wealth?
Okay, so generational wealth to me is creating ownership for yourself and your family. Mm-hmm. Then once you do that, you create a blueprint, a plan on how to make that continuously happen for the rest of the years. That's the
rest of your family's years, the rest of your years?
The rest of my family years. And then also because like I can't even say just one blueprint because things change over the years, right? So I can't even just say that. So it's like that's why it's important to educate my family on how to develop those habits and those traits of knowing how to obtain wealth, and how to acquire that skill set to teach it. Because you just can't create a single blueprint for all of these years because things happen. Things are going to change. So that's why you got to teach family. You got to teach your children. Then they're going to teach their children those habits and those skill sets. Mm-hmm. Then once they get older and once things change in the society, they will adapt to it and they will figure out how generational wealth will work in those cases.
Yeah. Okay. So just to follow up on that, more of what my question was asking is, do you see how some people would find it like unfair that generational wealth is a thing? Because there's a lot of people who look at families who have generational wealth, massive generational wealth. You know, we're talking about their kids are, you know, hedge fund babies that don't have to work a day in their lives. They were just born wealthy and things like that. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there is an argument towards maybe generational wealth is not the right thing for a society because it creates a pretty big class barrier in a lot of cases?
I'm not the guest right now. I mean, I'm not the host right now. No, I'm playing. I feel like it's okay. I'm gonna say this. Everybody can't be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, everybody can't be a millionaire. You know, because this world, at the end of the day, is a consumer-based economy.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say, yeah, it's fair because we live in a different age now. I mean, because all the information is on the internet. I mean, back in the day, we didn't have what we have now. Mm-hmm. We have the internet, we have the books, we have computers, we have all these different technology things that's going to help us get the information. So back then, you just had books. You just had newspapers, whatever it was. You know, so I feel like it is fair for everybody to at least obtain some type of wealth in that shape or form. I'm not saying generational wealth, but I would love generational wealth. For me is the goal, but it's just like wealth in general should be everybody's goal at the end of the day. I feel like me personally, because wealth isn't just all about money. It's all about health as well.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Because then when it comes to health, because a lot of families, they deal with diabetes and they deal with different things. So now you could break the generational curse by figuring out, okay, how to avoid diabetes, how to avoid these certain diseases in my family, by eating right, by working out, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So you could break generational wealth in those type of categories as well. This might not even money.
I totally agree with you. I think that everyone in a society, especially like America, where America is considered the richest country in the world, I feel like every one of the citizens deserves to have a life where they don't have to worry about starvation. Mm-hmm. They don't have to worry about not having a home at night. So that's why I am in favor of things like, and I'm about to get a little bit more political here. That's why I'm in favor of let's say like universal health care. Mm-hmm. I don't think that health and stuff like that, I don't think you should have to pay for that.
Okay. Because
the minute you have to pay for stuff like that, you already lose a lot of people who now can't afford basic medical services, like to help treat their diabetes. Obviously, for there's two types of diabetes. There is, I don't know, I can't remember which one's which, but there's one type of diabetes that is caused by certain eating habits, certain things like that, while the other one is genetic. So some people just have diabetes genetically. And here comes the problem. If you get diabetes genetically and you have no way to really cure it, now you have to buy insulin that, based on the market, they can raise whatever the price of insulin they want, and they have spiked stuff like insulin, price spiked it to where insulin can cost hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, whatever the hell they want. And I think that is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because, basic health stuff like that, I think that should be provided given how much wealth is in this country. I think everyone deserves to have basic needs like medical health and things like that. And there is obviously so much truth in being able to eat right, eat healthy, go to the gym and things like that, which also can help given with certain support systems in our society. Obviously, we talk about things like food stamps. When it comes to food stamps, a lot of people mistreat it, but at the end of the day, it is very important that we have things like that, because some people just can't afford healthier options, so they have to go with the junkiest junk food, and again, that's how we have more health problems in the United States, and thus allowing for the pharmaceutical industry to make a lot of money by having people have health problems. So it just becomes a cycle of making money for people who have had wealth for a long time. A lot of these CEOs, a lot of these owners of companies, a lot of times they didn't start from ground zero. Yeah. They had generational wealth, and now they're part of a system that actively tries to put communities down in the name of trying to gain funds. So that's why, in my opinion, as much as it is nice to have generational wealth and being able to pass your wealth and stuff like that onto your family, I can totally see the argument on why it may not be as fair to some people.
For sure. Well, you talked about healthcare. Healthcare. If it was free, say if everybody didn't have to pay for healthcare.
Yeah.
I feel like this world will go crazy. I'm not gonna lie, because this world is based on money. You know what I'm saying? And it's based on the people that's taking care of the person that's going through that illness. I feel like how are they going to get paid by doing it? Because that's, I want to say that I wish everybody's mind wasn't so on money. You know what I'm saying? I wish it would just out of the love for people and respect. But it isn't like that. I mean, like I just said, we live in a society to where it's all about money. And I wish a person could just go in there and be like, hey, man, I'm sick. Oh, yeah, we got you. No. You have to...
Yeah. What if I told you that there are many countries that are like that? There are many countries, a lot of Scandinavian countries, a lot of EU countries, where they have universal health care. They have government options where you're able to go into a hospital and not have to worry about a bill. And again, a lot of these countries are less rich than the United States. So it's possible. It is possible. And a lot of times people ask how we're going to pay for things like that. Obviously, this is a whole can of worms. But you can just name things like how much we spend on the military and things like that. We spend billions, we spend trillions of money on that. Crazy, a lot of that stuff could go to universal health care. In fact, that's why I support people who say stuff like that. I totally understand that we live in a society where money is everything. Goods and services are not handed freely, unless it's very simple situations, it's very specific situations. Let me correct myself there. But looking at other countries who are able to do it, who are able to have these universal health care options, it makes me wonder, why isn't our country, the greatest country in the world, quote unquote, able to do this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start kind of delving back into, well, that's because the systems in this country are ingrained in getting money, as much money as possible from people.
Yeah.
And having a universal health care option that would not be most financially beneficial for these large corporations. So that's what I will say, and we don't have to continue with this whole
No,
yeah.
I would most definitely say, because I didn't know
Yeah.
that in other countries they did that. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna probably mess up the names of the countries, but things like Norway, Netherlands.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the UK. Like,
those are beautiful countries.
Very beautiful countries. Obviously, there are many things that I don't want to put these countries up on a pedestal. Obviously, every country has its problems.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's crazy to think that we can't do something like that when there are plenty of other countries that do. And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about many. Mm-hmm. America is one of the only countries that you can go into, let's say, have a baby, mm-hmm. and have maybe a $10,000 to $30,000 bill.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, we're one of the only countries that does that, while every other country knows that it's probably not good to have people who will reproduce the population have to pay out of pocket just to have a baby come out. And I'm not just talking about that kind of stuff, any sort of medical thing, like cancer treatment. Mm-hmm. You have something that you can't control.
Now that is like kind of crazy to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like cancer. Now that's one debate that I might actually be like, okay, now cancer, that's something you really can't control.
There's many diseases you can't control, and then
it's like, but like I don't know so much about cancer. Like I don't even want to go so deep on.
Yeah, we're not medical experts here, people.
So, but I do know there are certain diseases that can be cured. By the way, it's just like when it comes to like I said before, like our family, they deal with these diseases and they are passed down. Mm-hmm. To the rest of the family. I feel like you can be the one that changed that for your family if you start eating right and you start doing some research on your genetic type and you start your body type. I do believe that you can change that for yourself and your family. I
agree. If there is a way for you to combat certain diseases like heart disease and things like that by eating better, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Just talking about diseases that have medical cures, like vaccines or things like that. Not even vaccines, but like chemotherapy and things like that. Yeah. I think it's absolutely absurd to put a paywall on your only way of living. Because if you have a disease that the only way to cure it is through the pharmaceutical industry, they can charge whatever they want for you to save your life, and I think that's horrible. I think being able to save your life from a debilitating disease that you can't control, I think that should be free. Yeah,
and I agree on that. I do agree on that. No. Now, after this episode, I'm most definitely going to start educating myself in the medical field for sure.
Who knows? You might become a doctor. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, no, I'm most definitely going to educate myself in the industry. But,
well, we went off on a really big tangent there. Time to reel ourselves back in. Like this is why we're doing this. I love having this discussion.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that one. I had another thing that I wanted to talk about. Relationships. Relationships. We was going to talk about religion, but we're going to say that for another time, actually.
Okay.
Relationships. So, me personally, we have right now what's going on in this world is that a lot of women, they feel like that the man always got to do everything. So, my personal opinion about that is I feel like everything should be mutual. Everything should be supposed to be together.
Yeah.
And I feel like when it comes to the man paying a bill on a date, I feel like, okay, if you take your girl out on a date, I feel like the man's supposed to pay one day and the woman's supposed to pay one day. I feel like everything's supposed to be balanced. Now, I feel like I think this too. I feel like in some scenarios, a man's supposed to handle, in other scenarios, a woman's supposed to handle. Because every scenario, a man is not supposed to handle everything. Like sometimes a woman is supposed to handle a certain situation because that's a woman. That's like. I'm trying to get my point across. It's like,
can you give me an example?
So like, say trying to think of something. Say if her friend or something comes with a problem and she needs somebody to talk to. Well, I can't talk to her because she's a woman and she's going to hear a man perspective. No, she needs to hear another woman perspective. So something like that in a way. And I lost my train of thought. I forgot where I was coming across. But at the end of the day, we live in a society to where everything's supposed to be on a man. So what's your perspective when it comes to relationships? How do you think it's supposed to go?
I think a lot of what you're talking about does happen, but in true relationships with quote unquote true love, obviously you can have your own definition of what true love is. However, if we go with a classic idea of what true love is, there is that mutualism built in that you shouldn't really have to worry about. That's that. Yeah. We're getting into this conversation of relationships right now, and we're going to be talking about some maybe heavy things, some political things. What was it? Your first or second episode of this podcast?
No, it's not even. Oh my goodness, that was so
I don't want to dive too deep into that episode. That episode was called female nature or things like that.
Modern day
women. Since your co-hosts Brandon and Sheridan are not here, I'm gonna respect them and not like.
I most definitely will want them here for that one.
Yeah. I'm not gonna try to argue any of their points since they're not here to argue back. I will say though that with what we're about to talk about with relationships, a lot of times people, men specifically, like to think that they know the nature of women in one way or another. With what you guys were saying, that trying to know the nature of women better props you up for being able to find the right partner and being able to shift through people who maybe not, would fit your idea of what you want out of a relationship. However, I will say that female nature, all of what you guys have said on that podcast, or a lot of what you guys have said on that episode, it can go both ways. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be considered the female nature or the women's nature. It should be considered human nature. A lot of what you guys were saying, I could easily turn it right back around and be like, guys do the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as much, but at the end of the day, both genders or whatever gender, they do the same things.
Yeah, and that's very true.
Yeah.
And I totally agree on that.
Yeah.
And I can't even say, but women do this more. But it's like the women are going to say the same thing about us.
Yeah.
So, but I am going to say, the last woman I was with, she actually showed true love. Mm-hmm. I'll say now. I'm gonna get this example. I was with her one time. I left. She came downstairs, crying because I was leaving. And right there, that's how I instantly knew that it was genuine love right there. And I feel like you gotta look for those true signs if it's love. Like you gotta look for certain like real signs that this woman love you.
Definitely. And what I'll add on to that, those are the kind of signs that you want to be looking for.
Yeah.
But trying to understand their nature, and quote unquote, that's not what you should be looking for. From me to you, would you want our partner, either my girlfriend or your girlfriend, would you want them to analyze you like you're an animal in a Nat Geo show? No, you don't want to try to understand their nature. You want to try to understand them on a human level. Mm-hmm. You don't want to try to compare them to other people in their gender, in their sex, or whatever it is. You want to compare them to themselves. Yeah. They are an individual. They are not corely part of a group. Yeah. So I think that's important to know when you try to understand someone's nature, is that you shouldn't be comparing their nature to other people's. You should be focusing on who they are as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with my therapist. Shout out KJ, by the way.
Shout out KJ.
And he was telling me after my situation with a woman, and he was telling me like, yo, like, he asked you, so what do you want this relationship to do for you? Like, after, like, what do you want this breakup to do for you? And I told him that I wanted this to fuel me to get to the next level. That's what I told him. And he said, well, don't let it fuel you to get to the next level. Let it guide you to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Let it, like, understand what happened in a relationship and learn how to not get in that situation again, and learn how you could just benefit from it, and just not letting it, like don't let the anger just guide you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
look at it from a logical standpoint in a way.
Yeah.
And that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Me. And
definitely.
And that's how I was looking at it. I said, man, I'm about to just show this person that she missed out on the battle, man. Blah blah blah. But no, I feel like as long as you actually figure out what happened in the relationship and how can you learn from the relationship and just go forward from that, I feel like you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's what it kind of told me in a way. So, yeah.
Definitely. You know, learning from your mistakes is so beneficial. And even if a relationship ends and it's technically not your fault, it's still important to see, like, what are the signs of how that mistake happened. And I think your original question was like, what's my opinion on relationships, or along that?
Yeah, like I was going to say, like, do you feel like a man's supposed to control the relationship?
No,
yeah.
Obviously not. A relationship is again, it's about mutualism.
Yeah.
It's a symbiotic relationship between two individuals.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like to say that a relationship thrives on being 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one half versus one half. Some people like to say it's good when it's 100% versus 100%. Like, you should be putting all of your energy into it, just like how your partner should. Mm-hmm. I think of it more in like a gray area rather than being black and white. I think that there are many times where your partner can't put in 50% or can't put in 100%, maybe even put very little, and that's why you as your partner have to accommodate that and put maybe a little bit more energy in to help pull them out of a rut that they may be having. And I can relate that back to my relationship that I have now. No relationship is perfect. As much as I like to think my relationship is amazing, her and I have definitely gone through some rough patches, and it just takes some intelligence. It takes a good wherewithal to know exactly who you're dealing with and exactly, you know, how to handle situations and how to understand yourself. Because if you can't understand yourself, how is your partner expected to understand you too?
Yeah.
I'm about to give like some advice here for relationships, and I can also help thank my partner for this, because she was great. She helped me come up with these. For a really good relationship, I think there's like 5 things you should know. Number 1, this is what everyone says: communication. Mm-hmm. Communication is so important in a relationship. If you can't communicate with your partner, it's gonna go bad. No matter what kind of way you start out, if you can't communicate properly with your significant other, there's no way that you guys are ever gonna grow as a couple. Sure. Because that's what a relationship is. It's growing throughout your life with a partner. And I'll even go a step further. I think communication is important, but I also think learning how to diffuse situations where, you know, you may be having an argument. Learning how to diffuse an argument properly, because there are many ways that you can try to diffuse an argument: by walking out, by telling them that they're crazy, or doing something that'll just provoke even more. There is something that you need to know, and that's called learning to hear them. Listening is just as important as communication. Being able to listen to what their problems are, and you can try to reason with them. You can sit them down, let them hear, or allow you to hear what they're saying, and talk to them as a person to person, and try to overcome this hurdle and make both her and you, or whoever it is, better. It's the number 1. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is, this is just a simple one. It's make sure that you and your partner... What?
Because you said communication, diffusion, and...
That's all one. Communication...
One.
Yeah. Communication, that's communication, diffusing situations properly, and learning to listen. That's all one. That's all like the very basics. Number two, it's again simple, just making sure you and your partner align morally and things like that, or in this day and age politically, because obviously there's so many things that are political nowadays that if you're not aligned with your partner on even your fundamental ideas of politics or more morality, all of a sudden, a month, a year into the relationship, and you learn that she's not the kind of person who you thought she was or he was, doesn't matter, all of a sudden, that now can cause a rift that may lead to arguments and things like that. That's a simple one. That's number two. Number three is allowing yourself to learn your partner's love language. Have you ever heard of love language before? It's like physical touch, words of affirmation, I think. What else?
What's yours, Dylan?
Oh, mine, and my girlfriend would attest to this. I love words of affirmation. Mm-hmm. I love when my partner tells me that tells me things like I love you and things like that. Because early on in our relationship, she had actually had a very hard time communicating that thing. Mm-hmm. And as our relationship kind of blossomed, that's what I started to crave in our relationship. When she wasn't able to communicate, I was really craving her, saying I love you, after we would go to class or just basic things that, you'd expect out of your partner, things like that. So I love words of affirmation. So it's very important for you to learn and adapt to your partner's love languages. Mm-hmm. That's number three. Number four, this is a really funny one. Shout out to my girlfriend for coming up with this one. Learning to match your partner's energy is a big thing. If your partner is, like mine, very hyper sometimes, being an absolute goofball, it is in your benefit to match that. You want to become a goofball too. And I say this for everyone. Even if you're not normally the comedic or goofball type, being a goofball is one of the best things you can do with your partner. It allows you to be vulnerable. It allows you just to have a blast, fun time without any sort of problems usually. And it also makes you stay young by being a goofball. And I think that's very important because over time, if you're not having as much fun with your partner and not laughing as much or not having a great time, you'll start to feel older and older and older, and then all of a sudden you start feeling like you're growing apart. So by allowing yourself to be an absolute weirdo with your girlfriend, having each other laugh, die of laughing, I think that is so important in a relationship. And again, a very important thing about that is that allows you to feel young, and that really helps later down the line. Final thing, what was it? Talk about that really quick. Let me pull it up because I knew I wrote it down.
Okay.
What was it?
I feel like words, because words, like the words of affirmation. Like I feel like mine's just like physical touch and words of affirmation. Like I enjoy like my partner like telling me like, you're such a good person, and thanks for doing it. You didn't have to do that for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, I love you. Things of that nature.
Exactly, and I love that too. And some people, that can be like misconstrued as like, oh, you just want to like boost your ego. Yeah. It is not like that. When it comes from your partner, that is a complete different feeling. And it's okay. These 5 love languages are not, you don't only have to have one. You can have all of them if you want. Mm-hmm. I think the only one that my girlfriend and I don't really align with is like, giving gifts and things like that. We don't like buying each other things. Yeah. We much rather show our love through quality time or physical touch or just, things like that. 5th thing that I was going to say is learn to have your own hobbies. And your own, learning to have your own hobbies and your own interests. Yeah. So many people like to get into relationships with the exact same person as in themselves. A lot of people like the idea of dating their clone.
Oh my God.
Which I will say, for all the people that I've heard who've had relationships like that, it can be a nightmare sometimes. I won't say that for everyone. Some people are able to adapt to things like that. But here's the problem when it comes to dating your clone as I say it, that all of a sudden you lose your individuality in the relationship. All of a sudden it feels like you're just dating yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're dating yourself, you start seeing everything wrong with yourself, which that's okay. You can see, things that are wrong with you and try to uplift yourself. But if that's all that you're seeing, that's not what a relationship is. That's when a relationship is going to take a dive. Yeah. So being able to have your own hobbies that are different from your partner's, that allows you to, spend some time away from your partner and do your own things. But that also allows you to share with your partner a part of you that she may not be completely aware of, or basically allows you to share your passion to someone who may not understand that passion initially. Yeah. Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to a person that's dating the same person. It's like, I had recently just talked about somebody about that. It's like, a lot of people, they complain about the people they are dating. And said, man, they all the same. That's because you're literally dating the same person.
Dating the same person.
It's like, I told you, so I said, you have to get in an environment to where you actually want to change yourself and see new people. And because wherever you at, you're seeing the same people, like, that's doing the same thing for real. And that's why you're getting the same thing every time you date somebody. You're getting the same energy. You're getting, I don't know, they probably not texting you back. They're doing the same exact thing the last relationship did. And I told her, you got to get in an environment to where you actually want to change, see stuff change for yourself, because you're stuck in the same bubble. You got to go explore and see.
Yeah. And
sad to say, but you do. You have to explore. You got to figure out what you like. So,
definitely. And I think those 5 things that I've previously stated, I think being able to at least understand those on a basis will allow you to find the right partner without having to stoop to levels where you're trying to understand their nature or things like that. I think trying to find these types of things, the stuff that I said versus the stuff like Andrew Tate says, which a lot of that, which I listened to that podcast. Unfortunately, sorry guys, but you guys kind of sound like Andrew Tate on some of those those quotes. But
wait, which one are you talking about? Wait, you said Andrew Tate.
Yeah, do you know?
Which episode are you talking about?
Like the female nature one.
Oh, you talking about that one?
Yeah, because you get this kind of like bro culture or this alpha culture who thinks that they can understand a path to a relationship based solely on the fact that they can analyze the behavior of women. That's just complete bullshit.
No, when it comes to that, that's why, Sheridan and Brandon, that's going to have to be a whole different episode on that conversation, because I feel like, because I'm that guy to where it's like, I'm very neutral when it comes to that, but I feel like when it comes to those two, they have their principles.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure, and that's why I would have that as a whole separate episode.
And that's why I think this podcast, I think that's why you guys work so well between the 3 of you. Each one of you guys has your own individual principles and things like that, so you guys can bounce them off of each other and allow for structured criticism and things like that. Yes. That episode, obviously you got a lot of things were said. You basically didn't say out of it during that episode, but I'm glad we can sit here now and you can talk a little bit about that, and maybe in the future you can just basically have a bit of a discussion on that kind of thing.
Yeah, just so you know, the episode was kind of crazy when YouTube take it down.
Oh, YouTube took it down?
Yeah, they took it down. But it's all the audio platforms though. Like, they didn't take it off of there, but it's off of YouTube. They had took it down off of YouTube. Oh. I don't know why. I mean, there's worse stuff on there.
Listen, all it takes is one person to report it.
Yeah. But it's crazy. But,
I'm not in favor of taking down an episode like that. I am entirely a free speech advocate. I may think differently than especially on just those types. Obviously, there's a lot of things that maybe your other co-host and I could agree with, but on that stuff specifically, as much as I dislike their statements on things like that, I think they should be free to say all that stuff, and I should be free to, or you should be free to have criticisms against it. So, 1,000%. YouTube, put it back up.
1,000%.
But that's why I think it'll be important for more conversations on relationships, as relationships are very complex. You know, you can't just assume everything based on you know, some behaviors of some people that you've known in the past, or what you've seen, some behaviors on TV, or just like stereotypical behaviors.
Yeah.
It's not good to base a relationship off of that, or to find a partner off of that. You want to approach someone as if they're just a blank individual that you can now learn from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Man, that was very powerful. But I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it, bro.
Okay.
I think that's about it, man.
That's a great discussion. That's fun.
Definitely, I learned a lot this episode. And that's exactly why I wanted to have him as a guest on this episode, man, because every time I talk to this man, he always speaking on a high level, bro, and I enjoy talking with him, man, and it's a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, it was a pleasure on my end too, man.
Sure. Is there anything you want to tell the people?
I do have a website. If you want to look at photography, I am on Google. You can look at me at Dylan Ryder Photo, DylanRyderPhoto.com. DYLANFOTO, or not FOTO, PHOTO, photo, or with the middle name Ryder in between. And you can find me on Google. So check out some photos if you want.
Yeah, man. So, I need to go tap in with this man, bro. He's amazing, bro. Please. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out.
No problem, man. It was a pleasure. Long time coming.
All right, man.